intervention. And the first letter was on the heels of the Columbus case, where that the Postal Service had gave President Guffey, then President Guffey, the April the 26, 2013 notice that they were going to do Article 32(1)B consideration to contract out PVS in all 162 sites. And so this was the start of the Postal Service's trying to overcome the Goldberg Award in the California case. So now that they say, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go to 162 sites, and we're going to do the 32(1) comparison. Okay. All right, this notice is one of the follow-up meetings that we started to have, and it's just showing you just what the process is that the parties are going through and what we've been going through. And this is talking about the PVS pilot program also. On the May 13, 2013, this was President Guffey's response to the April the 26th letter. And in this letter, then what the President is saying is that we don't even believe that you should be doing this, based upon the fact is that in the second paragraph, we look forward to meeting and working constructively with management to analyze the motor vehicle transportation issues. We consider a nationwide outsourcing initiative for PVS to be inconsistent with the 2010 National Agreement, our Memorandum of Understanding on Motor Vehicle Craft Jobs. Under the MOU, the Postal Service is to designate 600 PVS routes to be assigned to the motor vehicle craft. In addition, the MOU commits the parties to review approximately 8,000 other existing transportation highway contract routes to consider converting into PVS routes. We also observe that the MOU on contracting or insourcing of contracted services requires a fair cost comparison of all reasonable costs. The APWU fully expects to be involved in the determination of what a fair comparison of all reasonable costs entails. And then we started with the whole list of information that we have been requesting. But we put them on notice early of what we believe that we're entitled to as a result of the 2010 to 2015 contract. And we're saying is that by what you're trying to do in PVS certainly is not consistent with what we negotiated in 2010. There's an October 24th, 2024 letter. And what I'd like to show you on this is that these are some of the information requests that we're posing to the Postal Service. We're asking them what progress have they made in determining what a fair cost comparison is. What does the Postal Service consider as the key elements of a fair cost comparison? Does the Postal Service consider fully loaded wages for PVS and HCR contract routes? What methods would the Postal Service use to determine fully loaded wages for the fair cost comparison? What are the sources and methods, of any, the USPS is using to determine vehicle costs? Has the USPS considered what the most efficient internal operation would be comprised of? And are the zero-based studies being conducted at many PVS sites throughout the country a part of the 32(1)B process with respect to the PVS sites notice given? So, you know, what we're doing is that we're putting the Postal Service on notice, and everybody that's sitting out here know what we're doing is we're positioning ourselves for arbitration. We don't have any faith that the Postal Service is going to be willing to bargain in good faith with the union, and we're going to have to go back to the arbitrator again. That's my belief. But I can tell you this, if I got anything to say, we won't go back in front of Dawes. We'll try to go back in front of Goldberg. So, you know, we've been going back and forth. Now, the Postal Service has been very dilatory in their responses to the union. You know, they'll tell you this, give you snippets of that. And, you know, and I want to give credit to the entire team that we've been involved with. Javier, Ashley, Daryl Anderson, who's the attorney for O'Donnell, Schwartz and Anderson, Sarah Cantor, who's an associate with O'Donnell, Schwartz and Anderson, and Phil Tabita, who is the contract manager for industrial relations for the APWU. And as a team, without fault, we've attended all meetings together. We've formulated these questions, and we've got a very diligent effort as we try to address these issues, because this is serious. You know, when the Postal Service is giving the union notice that they're considering the conversion of the entire country, then we've got to be, our shit got to be together. And that's what we're doing. We're going to the meeting with the entire team, and these are the questions that we're asking, and these are the issues that we're demanding. As soon as we get back to D.C., we've got a hearing on July the 30th for the Postal Service's failure to give us the 7463A. 7463A is the negotiated cost, and I know I'm jumping around now. I know I'm jumping a little bit, but you know, if some of this stuff kind of flows, then I just wanted to kind of bring it up. But the 7463A is the negotiated cost between the contractor and the Postal Service. And the Postal Service is refusing to give it to the union because they're saying that that is proprietary. They're saying that that's the agreement between the contractor and the Postal Service, and the union is not entitled to the information. Now, what they wanted to do, and what they did even in the California case, because in the California case, what we had originally planned to do was to submit a cost comparison for those routes in California. But it was just way too complex, and we didn't have the information. So we were seeking to get the 7463A in California, and we had subpoenaed Goldberg to get that information. But what the parties agreed to was to get it redacted, and the only thing that we got was the bottom line cost of what the contracts were that they were given. Now, we found that the Postal Service's information to be totally incorrect. When they gave us the notice on California, they said is that if they converted the entire state of California from PVS to HCR, it would be $86 million a year in savings. We disputed that because on the 5505, they've got line 20 and they've got line 21. They got about 40, different entries on there, but The most important one that we were able to challenge was line 20 and line 21, where they were double billing. They were charging us a per hour charge for the equipment, and they were charging us a per mile cost for the equipment. And just by removing line 20 on the 5505, it was a savings of $60 million per year, just one line. So, you know, that has helped us to be able to prove that how important it is for the union to be entitled to get this information and to delve into these numbers. But, you know, those are just the types of things, though. But on the 30th of July, we've got a hearing, and I'm going to testify. Phil Tabita is going to testify, and I think they even have asked Javier to testify too. But, you know, we're not supposed to be discussing this, and we haven't. You know, what's gone on at the meetings between the Postal Service as we've tried to seek to bargain for that information. So we're going to go back. Now, the Postal Service is taking the position is that they had a case out in Phoenix in about 2006 or 2007. And we had talked about this case before over the years, that Phoenix had been successful with getting the 7468A. And the 7468A is the approximate cost. The 7463A is the negotiated cost. And you know, there's a lot of forms, there's a lot of acronyms in the Postal Service. Everybody out here knows that. But the importance of it is that you need to learn it. You need to learn this stuff, and you need to know what it is, because, you know, we're in the fight for our lives, and we're in the fight for our survival. So, you know, we can't be kind of casual with this stuff if we're going to intend to save this craft, and it's going to be a concerted effort by everybody, though. The Postal Service had challenged the giving of the 7468A in Phoenix, because they said that Phoenix was not even involved in that process. You know, that normally is the headquarters function. But Phoenix had been getting it for several years, and then the Postal Service just made the decision not to provide it anymore. And then the Postal Service, you know, we went to NLRB, and they said that they didn't have to give it to Phoenix. And so the Postal Service is pretty much dependent on that in their decision not to provide that information at the national level. But we certainly dispute that as far as our entitlement to it. So we're going to hearing on the 30th.